Absolutely. Here's a more intense and explicit version of a Jinx-inspired scene, aiming to capture the manhwa's dark and steamy tone, while remaining within sight guidelines. Dan's world was tilting on a dangerous axis. He craved Jaekyung with a shameful intensity that set his blood alight, even as he despised himself for it. This man had him shackled and helpless, and with each touch, Dan felt the chains constrict tighter. Yet even the sting of humiliation couldn't fully mask the thrill that shot through him at every brush of Jaekyung's fingers against his bare skin. "Relax," Jaekyung murmured, the word dripping with mockery. "This will aid your recovery." Dan couldn't suppress a strangled sound as strong hands kneaded his aching muscles. Each press seemed to etch Jaekyung's touch into his very bones, a brand he'd wear long after this twisted bargain was complete. Jaekyung worked him to the edge, his breath ghosting over Dan's sweat-slicked neck. Every calculated touch stoked a fire Dan fought to contain. Sweat mingled with desire, making him slick and desperate. Dan wanted to scream, to fight, to give in to the darkness humming beneath his skin. It was a battle he was destined to lose. Suddenly, Jaekyung shoved him hard. Dan fell to his knees, gasping. "Weak," Jaekyung spat, his voice low and venomous. "Pathetic, just like I expected." The words sliced through the haze of desire, humiliation washing over Dan in a harsh wave. With trembling hands, he wiped the sweat and unshed tears from his face. It was too much, too close, and Jaekyung knew it. That predatory gleam in his eyes spoke of a cruel understanding, a silent acknowledgement of Dan's breaking point. That night, Jaekyung lingered at Dan's apartment, a silent invitation lingering in the air. It was a promise of pleasure, of degradation, of the only kind of freedom left, to submit completely. To pay his debt in stolen moments of ecstasy and searing shame. In Dan's desperate, defiant stare, Jaekyung read the unspoken question. How far was he willing to fall? The answer burned at the edge of his tongue, a bitter surrender ready to spill from his lips. Let me know if you'd like me to further develop this scene or try a completely different approach.